Two of the three biggest AI models will quietly sabotage your content, and you won't notice until your engagement collapses. You'll feel like the script is fine. The thumbnail looks fine. The hook reads fine. And then the video flatlines, and you'll never connect it back to the model that wrote it. But pick the right one, and the right way to use it, and you'll cut your scripting time in half. Your hooks will actually stop the scroll, and your output will start to feel like a system, not a hustle. I've stress-tested all three across hundreds of scripts, hooks, descriptions, and thumbnails for the Augment Mind channel. And the gap between the winner and the runners-up is bigger than anyone is telling you. In the next few minutes, I'm going to break down exactly where ChatGPT, Claude, and Gemini each win, where each of them quietly fails, and the one combination that actually compounds your output as a creator. By the end, you'll know which model deserves your monthly subscription, and which one you should never use for what you think it's good for. And before we get into the comparison, there's one specific task all three models fail at, and it's the single most important thing creators use AI for. I'll tell you what it is, why it breaks them, and the fix. But you have to stick around, because if you skip it, you're going to keep getting watered-down output and not understand why. This is Augment Mind, where we reverse engineer the systems behind AI tools, creator workflows, and peak performance. If that's your lane, you already know what to do. Let's get into it. The three-model reality check. Here's the lie the AI space sells creators every week, that all three of these models are basically the same and you should pick one based on price. That is wrong, catastrophically wrong, and it's costing creators their best ideas before they even hit the page. Each of these three models has a completely different cognitive architecture, different training philosophy, different defaults, and each one is dangerously good at one thing and quietly terrible at another. If you don't know which is which, you'll keep using the wrong tool for the wrong job and blame yourself when the output feels flat. So let me reframe this entirely. Stop thinking of these three as competing chatbots. Start thinking of them as three specialists you're hiring onto a content team. And your job is to give each one the role it's actually built for. ChatGPT is your generalist editor. Claude is your senior writer. Gemini is your researcher. Misuse any of them and the whole pipeline breaks. ChatGPT, where it wins, where it lies. Let's start with ChatGPT because it's the one most creators reach for first, and the one most creators are using wrong. Where ChatGPT wins. ChatGPT is the best generalist. It has the widest tool ecosystem, the most consistent UX, the most predictable formatting, and the strongest plugin and image generation backbone. If you need to brainstorm titles fast, generate thumbnail concepts, batch edit a transcript, or move between text, voice, and image in the same session, ChatGPT is the smoothest experience by a noticeable margin. It is, hands down, the best AI for the editor seat. It compresses, reformats, and cleans up writing faster than the other two, and its image generation is still the most production-ready inside a single workflow, where ChatGPT quietly fails. But here's where it gets ugly. ChatGPT will give you the most agreeable average answer in the room, every single time. It is optimized to please you. That makes it the worst long-form writer of the three, because it can't hold a sharp point of view across a 1,500-word script. It softens, it hedges, it pads. You'll write a hook with it, read it back, and think, this is fine. And it is fine. Fine is what kills creators. Fine doesn't stop the scroll. Fine doesn't earn a comment. Fine is the ceiling ChatGPT will quietly cap you at, unless you know how to fight it. The real fix? Stop asking ChatGPT to write. Start asking it to edit. Use it as the second pass, not the first. The instant you flip that order, your output quality jumps 2 levels, because you stop fighting its agreeableness and start using it as a finishing tool. Claude, the creator's quiet weapon. Now here's where most creator videos get it embarrassingly wrong. They lump Claude in as just another ChatGPT alternative. It is not. Claude is operating on a fundamentally different design philosophy, and once you feel the difference, you can't unfeel it. Where Claude wins. Claude is the best long-form writer of the three, period. It holds a tone across thousands of words. It respects nuance. It pushes back when something doesn't make sense, and it produces scripts that read like a sharp human wrote them, not a polite intern who's afraid to disagree. For YouTube scripts, email sequences, sales copy, frameworks, and anything that needs a consistent voice over more than 2 paragraphs, Claude is in a different weight class. It's also significantly better at following multi-step instructions without drifting halfway through. And remember that one task all three of them fail at, that I told you to stick around for, we're getting close to it. Claude does it the least badly, but even Claude doesn't fully nail it. Hold on for that. Where Claude quietly fails, Claude's weak spots are real. Its image generation is non-existent inside the chat itself. That's a workflow gap. Its ecosystem of plugins and integrations is thinner than ChatGPT's. And if you're trying to do quick, scrappy, multimodal tasks, voice, image, video, text in the same window, Claude makes you feel that limitation. It's also more cautious than the others on edgy or polarizing creative angles. For creators chasing pure shock value content, that can feel like a wall. For creators building a long-term brand, it's actually a gift, because it forces you to write smarter, not louder. Gemini, the underrated researcher. Now, Gemini. This is the one nobody is talking about correctly. Here's where most people get this completely wrong. They benchmark Gemini against ChatGPT on writing tasks, conclude it's worse, and uninstall it. That's like firing your researcher because they can't write a screenplay. You picked the wrong fight. Where Gemini wins. Gemini's edge is real-time research. It's tied directly into Google's index, which means when you need fresh data, current statistics, recent news, or live source verification, Gemini will pull it cleanly while the others are still hallucinating last year's numbers. For any creator working in a fast-moving niche, AI, tech, finance, business, that is non-negotiable. It's also strong at long context tasks. You can feed it a massive document or a multi-hour transcript, and it will hold the whole thing in its head while you query it. That makes it brilliant for repurposing, turning one long video into a research backbone for the next 10. Where Gemini quietly fails. But put Gemini in the writer's seat and the cracks show up immediately. Tone drifts, voice flattens, hooks come out clinical and dry. It's a research engine wearing a writing engine's costume. And the moment you ask it to be creative under pressure, you can feel the seam. The mistake is using Gemini to write the script. The win is using Gemini to research the script, and then handing the raw intelligence to Claude. The one task all three fail at. Okay. The task all three of them fail at. The one I told you was the single most important thing creators use AI for. It's the hook. Not the script, not the outline, not the title. The first 8 seconds of spoken language that determines whether the video leaves or die. And every single one of these three models will produce a generic, watered-down, predictable hook by default, because their training pulls them toward the average of every YouTube video ever written, and the average video flops. ChatGPT will give you a hook that sounds like every other AI hook on YouTube. Claude will give you a smarter version of the same hook. Gemini will give you a research-backed version of a generic hook. None of them, out of the box, will give you a hook that actually stops the scroll. The fix is the stop stack. Instead of asking the model for a hook, you give it the 4 ingredients: visual interrupt, audio cue, on-screen text, tension line, and you make it engineer all 4 into the first 1.5 seconds simultaneously. The moment you switch from asking for output to instructing on architecture, all 3 models become 10x sharper. Same prompt structure, different model, wildly different results, and only one of them holds the layered tension all the way through: Claude. So who wins? Let me give you the honest answer, because the algorithm wants me to pick one and stop talking. If you're a creator who can only pay for one, Claude. Full stop. The depth of writing it produces over a 12-month content roadmap will compound your channel faster than the other 2 combined. But the actual winner, the real answer, isn't a single tool. It's a stack. Gemini at the bottom does your research and pulls live data. Claude in the middle writes the script with voice and structure. ChatGPT at the top edits, generates thumbnails, and handles the multimodal cleanup. 3 specialists, 1 pipeline. That's the system that actually compounds. And if you want the full AI stack I'm using to run Augment Mind, the exact tools, the exact workflow, the exact prompts, I'll drop the links to everything in the description below, including the AI scriptwriter I use for every video on this channel. Subscribe if you want this kind of breakdown weekly, because the next video is going to wreck the way you think about content repurposing. The real lesson. Here's the part most creators miss entirely. The model isn't the leverage. The system around the model is the leverage. You can hand the same 3 models to 2 different creators, and one will produce a channel that scales to 100,000 subs, and one will produce content nobody watches. The difference isn't the AI. The difference is the operating system the creator built around it. The prompts, the workflow, the role each model plays, and the discipline to use each one for what it's actually good at. That's why this channel exists. We're not chasing tools. We're building the operating system behind the tools. Because in 2 years, every creator will have access to every model. The ones who win will be the ones who built the architecture first, for what they're built for, and fire whichever one you're using to write your hooks. But here's the uncomfortable part. Even with the perfect AI stack, most of the creators who set this up are still going to quit inside 12 months. And it's not because the tools failed them. It's because the system underneath the tools was broken from day one, and they never knew it. That's the next breakdown. The exact reason most YouTube channels die in year 1, even with the right tools in their hands. I'll see you there.